Imagine you are sleeping deeply in the middle of the night. Suddenly, you hear a high-pitched buzzing in your ear. You slap your arm in the dark. Today, you have window screens. You have chemical bug spray. You have plugins that smell like lavender. You have modern medicine. But for hundreds of thousands of years, your ancient ancestors had absolutely nothing. They were locked in a brutal, invisible war against the most effective killer in the history of life on Earth. How deadly is this tiny insect? Researchers believe it has killed nearly 50 billion people. That is roughly half of every human being who has ever lived. Out of a total 100 billion humans, 50 billion were killed by a bug. It is not the second deadliest animal. It is number one by an overwhelming margin. But the story of how your ancestors survived is stranger and more violent than you think. To understand it, you have to go back in deep time. These creatures existed 100 million years ago. They survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. They survived ice ages and global volcanic winters. For most of history, they didn't even care about humans, because humans didn't exist yet. But roughly 2 million years ago, that changed. Early human ancestors started walking the earth in large numbers. And to a female insect hunting for protein, you smelled completely unique. You emitted a specific cocktail of carbon dioxide, combined with a highly specific body heat signature. You became the ultimate target. The insect literally mutated its sensors just to hunt you. But here's something almost nobody knows. Only female mosquitoes actually bite you. Males survive entirely on plant nectar and are completely harmless. She is not attacking you out of hunger. She is using your blood to build her own eggs. So how did early tribes fight back without chemicals? The first major defense was pure pattern recognition. Your ancestors didn't understand germ theory. They didn't know what a parasite was, but they were incredibly observant. They noticed that settling in the warm, wet valleys meant half the tribe would die of a mysterious fever. So they created the oldest public health law in history. They stayed away from the low ground. They built an invisible map of danger. This invisible map completely redrew human migration. Populations were trapped, separated, or forced into new lands, all because of a bug you swat at a barbecue. But avoidance wasn't always an option. Sometimes you had to sleep near the water to survive. So your ancestors turned to chemical warfare. The most powerful weapon in the ancient arsenal was fire. Smoke doesn't physically block an insect. It completely scrambles their tracking sensors. If you sat near the campfire at night, your carbon dioxide signature was hidden. But ancient humans took it a step further. They realized that burning specific plants worked better. Tribes in Australia burned sandalwood. Tribes in Africa burned wild basil. Tribes in North America built smudges. They invented botanical pesticides through thousands of years of trial and error. Then there was physical armor, rubbing thick, wet earth over your exposed skin. This worked on two brilliant levels. First, it created a hard physical barrier. A tiny insect cannot easily bite through dried earth. Second, it masked your unique human scent. You simply smelled like the ground. Even today, mosquitoes don't bite everyone equally. Scientists believe it comes down to the specific bacteria living on your skin. If you're the person who always gets bitten at a barbecue, your ancient ancestors were dealing with the exact same unfair genetic lottery. In South Africa, archaeologists found something incredible. Beds made by humans 77,000 years ago. They weren't just made of soft leaves for comfort. They were built using specific aromatic plants. Plants known to contain natural insecticides. Ancient humans were medicating their beds tens of thousands of years before writing was even invented. Later, the ancient Egyptians invented physical nets. Fishermen realized nets kept the bugs away while they slept. But even with smoke, mud, medicated leaves, and nets, the insects still got through. They carried parasites that decimated ancient children. And when a threat is killing your children, evolution responds with brutal urgency. Your ancestors engaged in the ultimate biological arms race. If the parasite attacked the blood, the human body decided to mutate the blood. This is the origin of the sickle cell trait, a genetic mutation that literally deforms red blood cells. If a child inherited 2 copies of this mutation, They suffered from a painful, often deadly disease. But if they inherited just one single copy, their blood became incredibly hostile to the parasite. The parasite would invade the cell, but the altered chemistry would destroy it. Sickle cell was not the only genetic trick your ancestors evolved. Some populations developed a condition called G6PD deficiency. It also made their blood violently hostile to the parasite. Other populations developed thalassemia, a different blood mutation entirely. It appeared everywhere malaria had burned the longest. Some West African populations evolved something even stranger. Their red blood cells were missing a single protein entirely. Without that protein, one entire species of the parasite couldn't even enter the cell. This single mutation saved millions of lives in Africa, and it allowed humans to finally conquer deadly territories. Evolution does not make clean or fair deals. It optimizes for one single thing: survival. If saving the tribe meant accepting a genetic disease, evolution made that brutal trade without hesitation. It is a terrifying and dark arithmetic, but it is the reason the human species still exists today. Throughout history, this insect destroyed armies. It is heavily suspected of killing King Tutankhamun. The ancient Greek physician Hippocrates even wrote about it directly. He described its seasonal fevers with disturbingly clinical precision. It decimated the workforce of the ancient Roman Empire. It killed more soldiers in World War II than actual bullets. The deadly construction of the Panama Canal cost 20,000 lives. The deadliest animal in human history weighs 2 milligrams. It is not a lion, a crocodile, or a shark. It is an insect. And yet, against all odds, you are still here. Your ancestors survived without screens, sprays, or medicine. They used fire, mud, observation, and the mutation of their own DNA. They paid a heavy genetic price so you could be alive tonight. You are the literal descendant of the ultimate survivors. If you want to uncover the true history of humanity, hit that subscribe button, because human history is a long, silent war, and you are on the winning side.